What's up, Camden Catholic? Yeah, so it's now about 5:11. That's the wife. She's sitting down. She just got done doing some yoga. We're waiting on our flight. We got a little delayed, unfortunately. Our flight to Dusseldorf is off by a couple hours. So I figured out, you know what? I'm going to make y'all a video, right? Go ahead and get this video blog started right. So I'm going to give you a crash course of why Florence is so important, all right? Why it's such a vital area for the Renaissance and the Middle Ages and even the Roman Empire. So let's go ahead and do this thing. It's going to be super quick, though, because I'm going to get some video of us like taking off and landing in the city. It might be raining when we get there, but whatever. So anyway, so Florence through history, right? Well, first and foremost, Florence hasn't always looked like this, right? Down here in the bottom left, Florence is now an immaculate area that it like literally, man. Anyway, an immaculate area that has Renaissance cathedrals, art. It's got its roots in Middle Age guilds and money and banking and all this other stuff. And it's an absolutely gorgeous view. But it wasn't always like that, right? But just so we know, right? Florence is, of course, in Italy. It's right up here in the, you can't see the mouse, unfortunately, but it's right here. So Florence, okay, over in the top region of Italy, northern Italy. It is about roughly an hour and a half direct high-speed train line from Rome, okay? So it's very, very close by. So if it's near Rome, probably means that there was some Roman influence early on, right? So, of course, the Roman Empire had a hand in it. Florence was actually established by Julius Caesar as he was giving land grants to veterans following the late wars in the Roman Republic and the expansionary, as they were expanding their empire. So Julius Caesar was actually famous for founding Florence and giving those plots of land to homeless and jobless veterans. Now, Diocletian is also going to play a part in the Florence as well, when he actually establishes the state of Tuscany. What was at the time wasn't called Tuscany, but it's the state of Tuscany. He made Florence the capital city of this region, right? Because Italy is actually broken up into a lot of different states. There's Naples, and there's Tuscany, and then there's the Romans, and et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. So let's keep going, though. Anyway, unfortunately, Rome's going to fall eventually, and it falls due to frequent invasions by barbarians, right? We talked about this already. This one up here in the top left is one of the premier like barbarian invaders, right? They're the ones that actually showed up and stayed, and they tried to rule over most of northern Italy. They're called the Ostrogoths, right? Ostrogoth. So they actually controlled northern Italy during most of the early Middle Ages / what we call, unfortunately, the Dark Ages, right? Well, remember, the Byzantine Empire was still around. So if the Byzantine Empire is still around, that means the Byzantines probably trying to take it back a little bit. So Constantine had frequent ventures and battles with the Ostrogoths to try and take back the area that is now Florence, right? He actually ended up reconquering it later on. Now, eventually, though, Charlemagne, the Main, right, the Holy Roman Emperor, even though he was neither holy nor Roman nor an emperor, he's going to end up taking it over in 774 AD. So under his influence, Florence was established as a central part of the kingdom in the Holy Roman Empire, and in the Carolingian Empire. Well, later on, they're going to pull away, and they're going to establish a lot of positive things. One of the biggest things they actually established was their currency. So Florence established a currency called the florin, and the florin became the most widely used piece of currency throughout all of Europe for quite some time. And then this is going to be a big problem that appears, though, because once you have money, then you have disputes over this land. So the Holy Roman Empire is up here in the north, and then you have the Kingdom of the Two Sicilies and the Kingdom of Italy and the Papal States. Well, this is going to get into problems with that stuff that we were talking about early on called papal supremacy, right? When the Pope tried to claim power over kings and rulers and also had to try and have like an empire of his own. Well, the Holy Roman Empire and then the Papal States actually went to war with each other in these like called the Guelphs and the Ganglion, or the Guelphic Wars, right? So the Guelphs were over here on the left, and then the and then the Holy Roman Empire was over there on the right, and they were actually battling for control over these areas in northern Italy. Well, what's going to end up happening, though, is unfortunately during all these wars, what disease comes through? Of course, the Black Death does, right? So during the Black Death, or after the Black Death, after the fall of the Black Death, and after 40% of all the poor in Europe had died, a lot of people began to pull away from their faith, and they began to look at new secular ideas about art, life, different things like that. And all this views on focusing on the world, and human life, and our prosperous journey through history, and just everyday things led to the study of humanism. So you should have been doing that, like my regular classes, y'all should have kind of gone over that a little bit today in class while I wasn't there. So humanism is the idea of studying worldly subjects, studying the life that is around us. Like, for example, a humanistic perspective would be, did you know that the distance from your elbow to your wrist is the same size as your foot? I know some of you are probably trying it right now. But then these two guys actually are the main patrons of humanism themselves. That's Dante and Petrarch, right? Petrarch actually is a guy that took a lot of old Latin Roman text and began to translate it back into into readable languages such as French, German, Italian. And then, so this is a big giant rediscovery of old intelligence. And it's ironically enough, it's old intelligence from Greece and Rome that came thousands of years beforehand and led to a blossoming known as the Renaissance. Then also we got this guy over here, Dante, who actually did, like, how do you pronounce Dante's last name? It's like Aglieri. So Dante, famously known for Dante's Inferno, right? Or the Divine Comedy, as he wrote it. His big famous, it's famous analytics of religion. And one of his biggest, in the Divine Comedy, he actually takes a journey through hell. And he takes a journey through purgatory and heaven. And he discusses what he sees there. So this led to like humans focusing on the past and history led to a huge boom and a pull away from the Dark Ages, right? And it's going to lead to the Renaissance. Well, the Renaissance also needs one important thing. It needs money, okay? You can't do anything without money. So the only reason that Florence was able to make any kind of money was due to these things called craft guilds and merchant guilds. Now, guilds are a big group of men that are out together to try and make money on their own. So you have craft guilds like this one up here in the left, which are like this is an example of a craft guild, and they're actually making barrels, right? But notice it's not just one guy doing it, it's several of them, and there's a system of apprentices and masters, and they control the price of their product, right? Now, if you're controlling the price of your product, that means you're making a ton of Florence. They're just making it rain Florence all day long. So mad money is coming into Florence at this point, which makes it the center of another thing, banking, right? And the banking family that actually made... What? Oh, and the banking family that actually made... Not cool. The banking family that actually made Florence so profitable, and Florence, the cradle of the Renaissance, was actually the Medici family, Medici, right? And this guy is the one, kind of the founder of the dominance of the Medici family. It's Cosimo Medici, right? Cosimo. So he's actually one of the forefathers of this entire Florinian dynasty. Honestly, it's a dynasty. They actually ruled over Florence for 300 years. So Cosimo actually created the Medici Bank, and the Medici Bank became the largest that Europe had ever seen. And so following his reign comes in his grandson Lorenzo Medici, right? And then Lorenzo Medici was a huge thing called a patron of the arts. So that is why the Renaissance was cradled in Florence, is because their banks were actually based in Florence, and the Renaissance flowered out of there. So a patron of the arts means you finance the arts. You pay artists to create these huge pieces of artwork that can be used to decorate churches, cathedrals, homes, arts, museums, anything, right? And he actually established the Uffizi Gallery, which I'm going to be taking y'all through later on. And then very famous paintings like this one right here, The Birth of Venus by Botticelli, is going to come out of this. So I just wanted to kind of give you an idea of how we went from just this to that, right? So as you can see, Florence has massive roots not only in the Roman Empire, but also in the Middle Ages, and then also throughout in actually birthing the Renaissance. So we'll talk more about this stuff later on, but I think we're going to start boarding in about an hour, all right? So let me go. I'll get y'all some more film later on, all right? Guys, we're on the plane, so we'll see you in about 12 hours. Guten Morgen. We just landed in Dusseldorf, Germany, and right now, local time, it's about 8:40 in the morning, yeah. Y'all's time it's about 2 o'clock and 3 o'clock in the morning. We've been traveling now for quite some time and things are starting to get a little strenuous. So, Auf Wiedersehen. We're late over here for about. Oh, yeah. How long were we late over here?
An hour.
We'll be late over for about an hour. We'll keep you updated. But hopefully, I'll be telling you ciao soon. All right, guys, we just landed in Rome about a little over 30 minutes ago. We walked around a little bit, got something to eat. We're about to get on our last plane to Florence, and we've definitely been traveling now for about, let's see, if it's 1:40 here, that means that it's that means that it's 7 a.m. where y'all are, right? So some of y'all aren't even awake yet. And that means that we've been traveling now for like 12 actual hours, yet we're still a day and a half ahead of you almost. So, or a half a day ahead of you almost. So, when we land in Florence, you'll get updated, and I'll show you some of the city, all right? All right, so we made it. We are sitting in Florence right now. We just checked into our hotel, and as you can see behind me, you can actually see the Florence Town Hall that the Medici family lived in for 300 years, right directly next to my apartment. So, I don't know if I'm going to be coming back quite yet, but I'll check in with y'all tomorrow. We'll go see some sights. See y'all later, Camden Catholic.